and welcome back to essentially, honestly guys, is what is day 3 of the residential refrigerator install. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think it would necessarily be a 3-day project, but yesterday I did get slowed down a lot as we had a lot of bad weather. So continuing on with the third installment of this is all about how to mount the refrigerator down, so it doesn't move around in the cavity, and trim work and the electrical system and stuff like that, getting it changed over. Now, I still have to hook up the ice maker line, which I have not done, sound like Yoda. I did go ahead and plug it in, although I have not changed the electrical. So today is going to be all about thinking outside of the box, so to speak, inside of the box, as we have to come up with some kind of bracing or something like that to help hold the refrigerator. And we do have all this good solid wood right here. We have a good solid wood right here on the side, in the siding. So I'm thinking. Oh, and of course we also have up here as well, although the back of the refrigerator is very, very thin, and we really don't want to puncture that anywhere other than where there's already a screw. I'm thinking I'm going to build some kind of an L bracket, basically where we can come off of here, I don't know, somehow over to the refrigerator right here, and that'll give us stability on the bottom. And also maybe some kind of bracket here coming up and over somehow. I don't know. Like I say, it's really all about kind of brainstorming today, looking at the enclosure and just coming up with any kind of idea that you can possibly think of to help hold the refrigerator in. I do also have an idea. Let's walk around here and actually go in the motorhome. Now, this is going to be completely outside of the box, and everybody's going to be like, that'll never work. And I'm not sold on it myself yet either. However, once we get inside the motorhome here, let me show you what I'm thinking. I honestly, I don't plan on taking this refrigerator out, guys. I mean, I really don't want to. In the event of a failure, that's a whole different situation, right? But I'm really not worried about necessarily making it accessible to get it in and out regularly. Let me turn some more lights on. Okay. So, what I'm thinking, and again, bear with me, it's just an idea. Now, I've still got to get the refrigerator kind of leveled up this way. It is leaning a little bit to the right. We don't have a uniform air gap down there. I've adjusted the feet some on the bottom and got it much better. I just need to go some more. Excuse me. Okay, so what I'm thinking, again, bear with me, this is a weird thought. I've still got to trim the whole entire refrigerator out. And of course, this refrigerator is brand spanking new, so there's nothing on it. Hear me out. I'm thinking of taking my trim. I have a rather wide trim. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let me grab a piece of the trim right quick so we can explain it. Give me just 1 second. All right, sorry about that, guys. So here is our trim that we're going to be using. I started to go ahead and just make my own trim on the profile cutter, but Lowe's had this pre-made trim. It looks kind of cool. It's a little more rounded, whereas everything in these older coaches was all about squares, but it still blends in somewhat, as this is a radius. We have a radius on here and such. Okay, so that's enough explaining why we chose this one. All the other ones, honestly, were way too frilly. Okay, so if you look at it, right, we have a thick side and a narrow side. So we're going to go something like that. All right, all the way around it. We'll cut the 45s and the multi-radiuses up here, and it'll go across the top like such forth. And over here on the other side, a little bit tighter of a fit in there, but it fits in there just perfectly, just like that. Okay, so hear me out. Here's my idea again. For stability from side to side and to help hold it front to back. Once we get our trim made, I'm going to test run this first. Once I get my trim made, I'm going to take and I'm going to run this back across the table saw, literally just to brush the blade up against this edge right here, literally just to take enough. I don't have a planer, otherwise I'd do it on that. Just to cut the stain back off the wood and get back down to raw wood. I mean, literally, we are literally going to be brushing the blade up against it. We're not going to take any thickness off of this. Here it comes. I know everybody's going to say this will never work. I'm going to then wrap the whole side. I mean, we're talking about the whole entire length of the refrigerator with 3M double-sided tape. Okay? And then we are then going to stick that dude to the side of the refrigerator. All right, again, remember the refrigerator is brand new. That double-sided tape is going to grab a hold of that sucker like nobody's business. Okay, and then we're going to come in here and we're gonna pin nail this trim. You know, just trim finish nails. We're gonna nail this trim all the way down. Again, we're talking about the whole entire 70 inches of the refrigerator times 2, both sides, right, and the top. Okay. So by the time I think I did all of that, there is going to be so much adhesion area all the way around the refrigerator that is literally going to be my stops. It will not move. It's not going to be able to move side to side because the trim is going to be pushed up against it and nailed all the way down the front. All right, and then there's going to be so much surface area all the way around it of double-sided tape. And again, I know that sounds crazy, but there's going to be so much adhesion area that the refrigerator is not going to be able to do this. All right, and then we are going to have some brackets on the back, you know, towards the bottom that'll keep it from rolling. I do have the refrigerator. Let me get back down here and show you. I do have it up off of the rollers, so it can't really roll in the front anymore. See if I can show you this. So there are, there are the adjustable pads to set the height of the refrigerator, okay? Originally on this refrigerator, these were mounted the opposite direction. They came out this way and the adjustable stop was right here. But I figured out that I could turn them around, and that actually got the adjustable stop right back here by the wheel. And as you can see, we're not sitting on the wheels anymore. We're actually sitting on the plate. And then I'm going to figure out some kind of a bracket that I can come. This is the complicated one, honestly. I don't really know what I'm going to do. Some kind of bracket that can come maybe from here up. It really wouldn't have to bolt on as much as I would just have to catch it, say, up. Sorry, I can't really show y'all this. I can just catch it straight up, and it would come out to be, boonk, just like that in front of this bolt. All right, so it'd be a stop like that, and the refrigerator wouldn't be able to go any further because this is up against the bolt like that. That's an idea. I don't know. I'm going to have to see about that too. As well. And then as you can see the daylight underneath the back there and the daylight up here. That's why I left the back of the platform open with a pretty good sized air gap so that air can circulate back and forth around it, as this side is just a vent into the enclosure. All right, and this side is my actual heater duct. And then once we get all that done, then we can build us a faceplate. Let me scroll out here. I got my hand in the way. Then I will come in here and I will build a new faceplate that will go all the way up and across, and that will cover all of this, and our trim will just come down to the new faceplate, I guess. I'll just build it. I don't know. Like I say, you can hear me rambling. This is literally the touch and go ideas about everything we can do. I could build a whole new plate to go all the way to the floor, all the way across. I can recess all those new openings. I mean, I can match all that. That's not a big deal. It's just how much work you really want to go into, right? But that's where I'm at for right now. It's a whole lot of just sitting around and staring at it and throwing ideas out and all that such for us. So I'm going to sit around now for about an hour, and I'm going to throw a bunch of ideas around to myself, and I'm going to see what I can make happen. Well, while I'm brainstorming, I'm going to go ahead and start getting my trim cut to length where I know it's going to be going around there. But we're going to change the saw blade out to a fine tooth so we don't rip up the edges and everything like that. I was just doing some rough cuts to test the fit and everything like that, and you can see how it splinters the edges. So anyway, we're going to change the blade over and go ahead and start working on the trim some while I'm still trying to come up with some kind of an idea on what I'm going to do to fasten it down. So we got the blade changed now, so whenever we make the cuts, let's see, it's a really clean cut. Not something you would ever think about on a refrigerator installation video, but again, it was all about the details of just what we go through to really try to do this job actually correctly. Okay, so I've got our left and right trim cut roughly to shape for length. Now it is ever so slightly long because it is much easier to sneak up on your final length than it is to cut it too short to begin with. We've also started applying some stain to it. Now the stain has been very, very difficult, honestly, to try to match something. Our build in the motorhome and what's wrote on the back of the wood says cherry. However, we did pick up some cherry stain, and it did not come out to be anywhere near what the color of the wood is. Now, a lot of that's got to do with how light colored the wood is to begin with. Now, this is what's actually in our motorhome right here. And as you can see, yes, it is way, way different right now. However, this is only one coat of stain. And what I found is, you know, obviously the more and more you keep applying it, it darkens up a whole lot. Now this actually color is called golden pecan. And on the ends, it is a lot darker already than what it is on the face of it. So it's gonna just soak it up, and we're just gonna keep putting the stain on it, and until we get it to darken up to where it roughly wants to blend in, you know, so it doesn't look so bad, right? I mean, we don't want it to stand out like a sore thumb. So this is the raw color that we started with, and this is one coat of stain. And as you can see, it's already starting to darken up a whole lot. Now, even with, like I say, even with this coat and this stain color, you can see it does stand out quite a bit. So we're just going to continue to put stain on it so we can get it to darken up and roughly match in with it. Now, there are some trim pieces in our motorhome that are a whole lot lighter colored, and so I think it's going to blend in really well. But anyway, we are going to go ahead and get our top piece cut now to go across the top of the refrigerator. And this is where things can go really wrong really quick because you can chew up an 8-foot stock trying to make that right piece. So again, we're going to cut it long. We're going to go ahead and put the correct angles on both ends. We're going to cut it long, and then we're going to sneak up on the length ever so slightly bit at a time until we get it to fit really tight in there just like we want it. So it's supposed to be roughly 34 3/4. Now that's 34 3/4 from the farthest two points, right? You gotta remember we're at 45s here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut our first 45 here at 35 1/4 inches. Yes, it's gonna be too long, and then we'll start fitting it in there, and we'll sneak up on it a little bit of time because I am no carpenter and I can waste this whole entire piece making one piece of trim. Perfect. Well, perfect in a long sense. So a little update on the trim. We've been trying various different color combinations of the stains and stuff like that. And so this is the pecan with 3 coats. This is the pecan with 6 coats so far. And it's not looking too shabby. But I tried a test piece here. This was the same 6 coats of the pecan, and then I top coated it with the original cherry that I said I used that really didn't match at all. Now check this out. Now that is looking pretty darn good. So I think I may have found my color combination that's actually going to kind of work out. So I'm going to use the pecan to start out with, and then I'm going to finish it with a top coat of the cherry. That's just an experiment. But while we're waiting on that to dry, we're going to go ahead and move back inside the motorhome. It started raining again, and we're going to go ahead and start working on getting the electrical swapped over while we're waiting on the stain to dry on the trim. All right, so back into the motorhome here, we are going to cut all the power to everything. Now it's going to be dark, so let's set some lighting up in here so we can see what's going on. Get the cover off the breaker box and such forth. See what I can come up with here right quick. Aha! Let there be light. All right, so we're going to get this set up and get the access cover off our breaker box there so we can start figuring out what we're going to do with the circuit. Alrighty, let's get down here and see what we can find out. Okay, so one problem that I initially have is I don't have any extra breakers available in the box. Otherwise, I would just move the refrigerator breaker, to another slot that we could access the line coming from the inverter. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share the power that's going to our TV in the front in our audio video center because that's a very low power consumption circuit that does run off the inverter, and our refrigerator only draws about 5 amps maximum. So I'm going to borrow the power source from the TV audio video. I'm going to disconnect the source that's going to the refrigerator breaker now, and I'm going to move it over there so that it will run off of the inverter line. So I just got to figure out how to do all that now. I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to use refrigerator. So my other problem is my refrigerator and my water heater are a double breaker. That's going to be interesting. Alright, doesn't look too bad. I say that. Doesn't look too bad. We're just going to remove the power for the refrigerator, and we're just going to move it over to the audio video circuit and draw power through there. Again, our audio video circuit draws very low consumption, so it shouldn't be a problem. Alright, so one thing you got to keep in mind is, since we're going to move the circuit from the site power and generator side, we also have to move the neutral from the site power and generator side over to the inverter side also, okay? You can't move one without moving the other. And of course we have our ground in here too, so we have to move all 3 of those wires over to our inverter side, okay? Alrighty. Pretty much just like that. It's very interesting how they do these things. Well, put the cover back on and see what happens. That one stays off, on, off, on. Alright. Let's get some lights back on. Get some switches turned on and such forth. Whoops, got to turn the main power back on first. And let's see here. Get the inverter back on. Voila! Woo! That got bright quick. All right, so let's get everything powered back on. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and turn the microwave back on. Not that we're going to be microwaving anything, but just so it's on. That's on. All right, so we got the breakers all turned back on, and let's see what happens. Oh, we have lights, and it is on. Let's see, refrigerator set for 39 degrees, and freezer is set for, let's get it swapped over here, 3 degrees. All right, well, we're just gonna let it run like that, just to see what it does. Of course, we have all kinds of modes. Once we're using the refrigerator and we get it cold inside and everything, we'll probably switch to energy saving, obviously, you know, because we'll be running on batteries a lot. So anyway, we're just going to let it run. I had already stuck my temperature sensors in here for our wall mounted thermostat here, thermometers, I'm sorry. And I had stuck the freezer one in there also. So I'm just going to let it run for a while, just to see what it does. It's been running for a few minutes now, and I had let me tell on myself, I had held the sensor in my hand to make sure that it was on the right channel, so that's why that one says 78. But inside the motorhome is 74, and the freezer is already reading 68. It hadn't been on but just a few minutes. Let's go up here and look at the panel, see what it shows. And it's a crappy day, so we have no solar coming in or nothing like that, and I didn't have any yesterday. So let's see, we are holding about 13.1 volts on the batteries, and it says we're drawing about 8 amps. Not too bad. 120 volt output. Don't mind the shunt. This has nothing to do with the refrigerator, but I'm going to include this. Let me cover those up. You see my shunt shows that I'm drawing 56 amps of DC. That is wrong, and let me explain why. When I hooked up my DC to DC charger, again, this has nothing to do with the refrigerator, so you can skip forward if you want to, but it's just extra information why the panel is reading the way it is. I hooked up my alternator charging wire downstream of the shunt, so it throws all the readings off. I need to get back underneath there and switch all that so it's all on the same side of the shunt. But that's it. Look at that. It's already down to 66 now. And see, the refrigerator one's dropping now. Like I say, I'm going to let it run for an hour or so, and I'm going to see what it cools down to while I'm working on the trim work and all that stuff, and just let it run on the batteries while we have a really crappy day with no extra power coming in and everything like that. And we'll see what it does, but it works. Yes. Okay, moving right along. So I was going to go ahead and take a look at the trim that I was experimenting with. So bear with me. This is the wrong side. I know that. But anyway, it's going to go like that. Wow, that doesn't look half bad, actually, you know? Pretty good. It's still got a little bit too much brown to it, probably, but anyway, I put a couple of more coats of the cherry on there. I believe it's going to match in very well. Not too bad, not too bad. But anyway, we're going to continue to work on this, getting it fit in there right. And man, that freezer is coming down quick. It's already down to 60. That's pretty awesome. But anyway, back on the trim now. Alrighty, so real quick, back to our fastening system. The refrigerator was leaned a little bit over, so I just had the leftover wood stock left, so I just ripped it down to a perfect shim, to just hold the refrigerator over. So I got one in here, there, and then, I got my trim in here. Hold on, let me get that out. And then I just made one to go down there at the bottom. Essentially, we're just kind of wedging the refrigerator into the opening. And so the good thing about that is the refrigerator is still movable. I mean, it will slide in and out of these if we do need to get it out. So again, it's not a permanent installation. It is removable. You just have to pull the trim out and slide the refrigerator out. So I got those cut down. As you can see, our final trim, it's gonna be all right. I mean, it's just as close as I could get to to blend in. You know, it's not perfect, so it is what it is. But anyway, that is going to end up in there like that, trimming out the inside of the refrigerator. Of course, we got another one for the other side over here. But that's it for getting it secured like this. Like I say, we're gonna work on now getting our trim ready to go on there and get that down. And then I've got some L brackets and stuff that we're gonna swap over to the back. Once we get the inside done, we'll swap over to the outside and the back. And like I say, I've got some L brackets that we're gonna make work for the back to help secure the refrigerator from the back. Okay, so for the back of the refrigerator, I honestly don't think we're going to end up needing anything to brace the refrigerator just because of the way the trim work is going to turn out with securing the refrigerator. But we are going to go ahead and add at least a little something just to kind of help to make sure the refrigerator doesn't want to like rock back and forth, you know, trying to roll, which it can't. There's no rollers again. So what I did was I went up to Lowe's again, and I just picked up one of these T-brackets like this, okay? And I bent the end right here into an L, 90 degrees, just like that. And then we secured it down to the sidewall, and then we secured it down to the back of the refrigerator. And now it's not going anywhere, okay? But that was just a little something extra, you know, just extra added security. But again, moving back onto the trim work, and let's go ahead and get that done. I don't think we're actually going to needing anything on the back of the refrigerator. God, that stuff's sticky. That's the super sticky, as they call it, and it is so sticky. Alright, so one thing we are going to do is we're going to start with the inside trim piece that you can't see so that I can perfect my installation technique here. So I'm just going to trim it down to width initially to try that on the first piece. And voila. How about that? So it actually worked out way better than I was thinking it was going to. Kind of hard to get up in there, I know. But anyway, there it is. I mean, that dude is stuck all the way down like that. And then, like I say, we just pin nailed it, the trim all the way up in there. It worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to, honestly, to tell you the truth. So we're going to move on, and we're going to get the other side put in there, and then we'll start working on the top, because we're going to have to trim the top piece down to fit perfectly. Alright, so we got our next piece ready to go. Like I say, we just coated it. We're just going to slide it up in there and press that dude all the way up against it. Careful not to touch anything on the way in. The other thing is we've already got our left side trim piece set, so now we can just press this as hard as we want to up against it, because the refrigerator can't go anywhere. So we're just going to press it up tight, and then that'll hold it. Alrighty, so there it is. It actually turned out very nice. Again, it's turning out a little way better. Nice. I wish I could have matched the trim a little better, but you know, it looks. I'm tickled to death with it. To each his own, right? But anyway, there it is, and it's now. I mean, we're rocking the whole motorhome, so that dude is in there. But that was the plan. and it worked out really well. Actually, it looks really, really nice up in there. It's trimmed out very nicely. Oh, I might as well get over here where you can actually see. It looks very nice up in there. It's trimmed out very well. No gaps. Very, very nice. Now we'll work on the top piece and get that done. And well, there it is, the finished product. I'm not going to say that it was an easy project. I'm not going to say that it was hard, by no means at all. It just took a lot of careful planning, making sure that you knew where your ultimate end desired product was going to be, so that you could plan on how to do it. I will say this: in our motorhome, this is a 28-inch depth refrigerator. That really is all that we could have gotten away with, as it was a very tight squeeze getting it through here, and I had the doors and the drawer out. So I'm glad I went with the refrigerator that I did. I ultimately was going to go with the Frigidaire, which was a 32-inch deep refrigerator. I wasn't worried about it sticking out any further, but I was not thinking about what it was going to take to get the refrigerator actually in there. So I would have never gotten it in there without trying to lift it up over this, and no. But anyways, there it is, all trimmed out, done. Like I say, it is in there. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So if you want to take on doing this project on yourself, there it is. Again, the overall rating of difficulty, I don't have a scale. I'm just going to say that it's very doable. Careful execution, careful planning, obviously the window, and so forth and that. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I know it was impossible for me to cover absolutely everything that I thought about doing, and the videos are just so long to begin with. So there you go. Like I say, if you want to know something, please leave a comment, ask us, send us, get us through Facebook. A long way to go. Send us a message. However, we are always here to talk and try to help you guys. But that's it for the 2004 Country Coach Intrigue residential refrigerator conversion. So we've had the refrigerator on for about 45 minutes. Oh yeah. Even at 48 degrees, that's only in 45 minutes. It's already colder than the absorption refrigerator would have ever gotten in 5 hours.